All through standing in line to clubs I'll never get in. It's like the bottom of the ninth and I'm never gonna win this. Life hasn't turned out quite the way I want it to be.
Tell me what you want.
I want a brand new house on an episode of Cribs, and a bathroom I can play baseball in, and a king-size tub big enough for 10 plus me.
So what you need?
I'll need a credit card that's got no limit and a big black
Good
chain
day,
with a bedroom
professional
in
wrestling
it.
fans,
Gonna
wherever
drop my
you may be listening from today. You are listening to the Wrestling Roundup. I am your host, Matt Rhodes, also host of the hit television series NWA Smoky Mountain TV, one of the best professional wrestling television shows you'll find in this great country today. And we're going to be talking a lot about pro wrestling on this broadcast, as our guest today is none other than NWA Smoky Mountain promoter himself, Tony the Dragon Givens. 11-year pro of this industry, has been promoting wrestling cards just about as long as he's had the boots on. Well, we'll talk to Tony Givens in depth today in studio, ladies and gentlemen. Also, we're going to shed some light on some major changes coming to this program you're listening to. We're only 2 episodes in, but we've already had some doors opening thanks to some very, very great people, and we'll be shedding some light on that later on in the program, and we hope you stay tuned for the entire program. And I'm sure Tony Givens will be very enlightening to listen to. For those of you that's probably heard him on other broadcasts similar to this, Tony Givens don't hold any punches back. He's usually, pedal to the metal, says what's on his mind. And if you know Tony Givens outside of professional wrestling, you know that's how Tony Givens is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I'm glad to call him a personal friend of mine, and we'll sit down and talk to him a little bit later on. Some changes to some wrestling dates coming up in the Mountain Empire. It was supposed to be this Friday night, January 20th. Southern States Wrestling was scheduled to be at the National Guard Armory down in Mount Carmel, Tennessee. That event has been moved to the next Friday, the 27th, scheduled conflict with the Armory. But that event, once again, moved ahead 1 week to Friday night, January the 27th, National Guard Armory in Mount Carmel, just right outside of Kingsport, 1.5 miles past the old National Guard Armory, on the same side of the road. You can't miss this great event. Some big stars going to be there. Some big matches already signed. We'll shed some light on that later on in the program. The next night, the stars of SSW, NWA Smoky Mountain, including myself, will be in Hickory Tree, Tennessee, Bluff City, right outside of Bluff City, next to Bristol, for a huge fundraiser for a volunteer fire department there in Hickory Tree. And every time we're there, we always have a blast. The fans, they are wild as they come. One of the wildest group of people that I have ever performed in front of, and I always love going to this building. Volunteer fire department, and there's some great folks there, great organization. They're trying to raise some funds, and for definitely a great cause. These people risk their lives, every day, to protect, and our community, around here. Volunteer fire departments are great organizations, and they rely off funding, very limited funding, and a lot of it is by donations. You'll see a lot of volunteer fire departments organizing fundraiser events, and this is one of the ways to do it, through Southern States Wrestling and NWA Smoky Mountain. It's a great way to raise funds for your organization. But we can't wait for Saturday night, January the 28th, in Hickory Tree, Tennessee. Well, now that we've got the upcoming events out of the way, we're going to take a very quick break, and we're going to come back with Tony the Dragon Givens right here on the Wrestling Roundup. Thanks for joining us once again, fans. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're back in a moment.
Looking for the hottest wrestling on the net? NWA Smoky Mountain is here for you. Get all the latest info on upcoming events, news, NWA merchandise, and much more on our website at NWASmokyMountain.com. Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/NWA Smoky Mountain. And also follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/NWA Smoky MT.
All right, fans listening, we are joined today by a very big guest, in my opinion, definitely bigger than the first guest I had on this program. Brandon Cox is the first guest, and now the man who really got Brandon Cox and myself, where we're at in this business today, Tony the Dragon Givens, joining us.
Good to be here.
Well, Tony, a lot of questions, I want to ask, and I'm not going to ask you, how you got started, when you got started. That's the questions everybody asks. That's the first question everybody wants to ask. And if a lot of people don't know, you've been wrestling now for 11 years, right?
Yeah.
11 years, and been promoting pretty much that entire time as well. But I guess not up till, 2004 is when your promoting career took off with Championship Wrestling. But the first question I want to ask you is, in your opinion, describe the state of our business today and how you would fix it.
It's dead. I mean, I'm not saying it's totally dead, but it's definitely on life support. There's a lot wrong, man, and a lot of the problems are, if you've ever heard me on any other interview, a lot of the problem with independent wrestling is the fact that people come to independent wrestling to get something different than what they get on television from WWE or TNA, but when they get there, they see guys who aren't anything like they remember from when they were kids, or anything that even looks halfway professional. Most independent shows are horrible. Most independent wrestlers are horrible, shouldn't be in the ring, never been in a gym, don't have proper attire, and aren't properly trained. And that's the problem. The biggest problem in wrestling right now is lack of knowledge of what's going on, not from the fans, but from the people inside the wrestling business.
Well, you describe it that wrestling is almost dead. It's on a ventilator, and I totally agree with you. There's too many people out there that don't belong in wrestling, and that's a lot of people's faults, and I think everybody can share the blame. But how do you fix it in your mind?
Well, this is the Bo James strategy, so I cannot sit here and take credit for this. But Bo James has the theory that the only way that we're going to get the wrestling business back is to run these guys out. You see, when people talk about protecting the business, and a lot of things in wrestling have changed, a lot of terminology, and one of those things is the term protecting the business, the phrase. People think that protecting the business is keeping some kind of big secret out or something, that we're all trying to keep some secret. No, there's no secret there. Everything we do is real. I've had enough injuries to say that. But protecting the business means, what it used to mean was keeping people out. Okay, if I owned a construction business, and if I worked at a construction business, would I want everybody and their buddy to get a job where I work? No, because that takes away from my job. Mm-hmm. Protecting the business means keeping these guys out, and we have not done, as an industry, as a business, we have not done a good job of keeping these guys out. We've let anybody in. We've let them do whatever they want. It doesn't matter if they're wearing jeans in the ring. It doesn't matter if they're wearing, wearing tennis shoes or whatever. These guys are out here and they're wrestling, and not only top of that, they're wrestling for free a lot of the times, and that's taking money away from other wrestlers because, there's a lot of guys out there. Me personally, I want to book the best guys as a promoter. I want to have the best guys on my card. Well, there's a lot of guys out there that literally just want to go out there and have fun. So if they're going to go out there and just have fun, their promoter and them their buddies want to get together and have fun. Well, to fill up a card, are they going to pay myself or Chase Owens or Jason Kincaid or somebody good? Or are they going to find, you know, the guy in the jeans and the tennis shoes that is willing to work for free? Obviously, if they're just there to have fun, they're not going to think about whether they're going to draw or trying to put out a good product. They're going to get the guy that's there for free.
30 years ago, if somebody walked in to a territory or a wrestling town somewhere with their gear being jeans and tennis shoes, what would have happened to that person? I know the answer to this, but I want to hear your response.
They'd be kicked out of the locker room. And probably severely injured.
They wouldn't even been let nowhere near the ring.
They wouldn't be let nowhere near the ring. They'd send them back around. They'd be buying a ticket, and that was to be after they got out of the hospital. It's a tough industry. Sometimes I sit around and wonder. I have an undying love and an affinity for pro wrestling. I question whether actually I would have come back after some of the beatings that they laid on these guys. Now, my love for wrestling tells me that I would have always, no matter any era, found a way to be involved in some way or another. And I don't have a preference. If I worked a concession stand and got a paycheck working at pro wrestling, that would be enough for me. I would do anything to have any job in this profession.
And I can agree with you to that testament, and a lot of people's egos getting away of that. They want to be the top guy everywhere they go, and and they can't draw flies to crap, but they want to be that top guy. Nowadays we see how wrestling has evolved on national television. Speaking more to WWE. I don't know how much you follow the product. I'm sure you have watched the product recently and seen the changes that have been made there. And I'm going to label this the WWE effect. Is the product they put on right now good or bad for the wrestling business?
It's bad in general. It's bad TV. And it's the honest opinion, And I'm not one of these guys say that I've never watched it or whatever. I always, in the truth, I still keep up with it on the internet. I literally watched it religiously, until probably a year ago or something. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't watch TNA at all. I don't watch SmackDown at all. I watch half of Raw and I go to bed. Did the same thing last night. I tried to watch it. And it's just horrible. It's become a parody of what they should be. It's not even okay. If you look at it and say this is sports entertainment, I'm watching it because I like sports entertainment. It's not even good sports entertainment. It's not even good. It's not even good television. Throw wrestling out the window because it's not wrestling. It's not even good TV. You watch a show like Dexter or White Collar or Psych. That's good TV. They're not even a good TV.
Well, when you mention those shows, they always leave you wanting to come back to see what happens next week. Nowadays, you don't really care what happens next week because it's other words the same, and not just picking on WWE in general, TNA the same way. I personally think that when, the WWE, went with their PG directions when they changed, and it's not the fact that they are offering a kid-friendly entertainment, that's fine, but it's just it's the product they offer. No blood. They don't believe in that at all. And 30 years ago, that was a common thing on every wrestling card in the country, and a lot of people like that blood and gut style wrestling, especially here in the South.
I like that style of wrestling, but I understand their PG stance because they got to deal with Mattel, the toy company, mm-hmm. And I guess they're kind of, that's one of the masters they have to answer to is Mattel, and that's a big deal for them. That's a big mm-hmm. license deal, and the way pay-per-view is going down and live attendance is going down, they need to keep all those every other source of revenue they can get. So if that's what they have to do to keep that deal, then I perfectly understand it. As far as it hurting the product, I would think if it was me personally, if I was in their position and I had the Mattel deal, I'd probably do the same thing they're doing. However, if it wasn't for that, I don't think that I would go in that direction, because that's not the wrestling I like. And I'm not saying they have to have people up there cussing like crazy or just blood like ECW where somebody bleeds in every match. But blood adds you need the blood and guts fight. That's how, the wrestling is all about personal issues. And, when a personal issue becomes so hot, it's time for a fight. And when it's time for the fight, there's going to be bloodshed. And I don't think that you could take some of these matches, like their cage matches and stuff, seriously without it. I mean, it just looks like a cartoon.
Just to point an example, when we say here for this interview, the episode of Raw that aired the last night, as we said here, showed a segment with one of their guys getting his head repeatedly bashed into the steps and no blood. I thought that made no sense whatsoever.
I didn't make it that far.
You've taken a guy and he's continually getting his head beat in with a weapon, and he's not got, blood coming from his forehead. How can anybody take that seriously? No matter who's offering the product.
There's no logic there. And that's one of the big problems with wrestling, too, is there's no logic. When you watch it, here's the thing about continuity. Now, I know that, was there something going on with there was a title change, right, last night?
There was a title change at the house show.
No, there's a title, U.S. title, right?
Yeah, that's right.
There was something about a doctor's excuse, right?
Yeah,
well,
that's the
3 weeks ago they did the same thing with Mark Henry and Daniel Bryan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they took the title back from him because he wasn't fit to wasn't cleared to wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
There's no continuity there. That's what I'm saying about them not even being a good TV show. Regular TV shows, real TV shows like Law and Order, whatever, they have continuity editors that sit there, and their whole job is to say, okay, they go over the script and say, okay, this doesn't make sense because way back in episode 6 we did this and it doesn't correlate to what we're doing here. They don't have any continuity because they don't respect the wrestling fans. They think, oh, it's okay. Those wrestling fans aren't going to remember this. Well, truth is, you can't do that. The kids are smarter. The truth is, the kids pay more attention to anything. You think that you're gearing your product towards kids? Kids remember everything. They're going to say, well, why is this going on? What's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be the first one to bring stuff up when the continuity doesn't add up because they think about things more.
In a kid's mindset, they don't have the worries of an adult. So, that's all they think about. If they're a diehard wrestling fan, that's all they will think about. That's all they'll talk about at school. They'll talk about it at the dinner table. That's the kid's mindset.
And it brings up a funny story. Back when I was in 3rd grade, they were doing this thing in WCW where these guys kept on coming out of boxes and attacking Sting.
I remember that.
Right? And everybody was like, well, who is it? Who is it? I come up with the logic that it had to be Lex Luger because he was the world champion, and he would be the only person that had the money to bring Abdul the Butcher and put him in a box and bring this guy in. Well, it turned out it actually was, just because I logically thought that way.
Mm-hmm.
But, it made sense. So.
But you put a lot of thought into it.
Exactly. The point is, a kid will put more thought into things like that than an adult will. I just don't think they don't respect the fans, and I don't even think they respect themselves.
It don't look like it. It hurts, and I think it hurts the business in general because they have such a big following. And it's like you said before on many occasions, if you go to a crappy independent show, and all it is crappy wrestlers in the ring, you're not wanting to go and buy a ticket to see another show, no matter how good they are. And I think, it's happening there with the WWE. People are turning off the channels. They've got record low ratings, and they're not going to say, hey, crap on wrestling in general. These guys have got an awesome card down here, but, I don't want to go see it because I think they're ruining wrestling. That's just my opinion.
I would tend to agree with that, but they're not nearly as bad as TNA.
No.
I gave up on those guys a long, long time ago.
No, those guys need a lot of help. You're talking about being on life support. They're definitely on life support with an unlimited cash flow. So, but it just makes me wonder sometimes, like, it'd be nice to have that kind of cash flow with a good crew. Well, they got a good crew of talent, but with a good crew behind the booking it right. and drawing money.
The problem with even with WWE and TNA both is not the actual wrestlers, because they have a a great array of talent, but in both companies, everybody there, and nothing pisses me off more than seeing guys on the internet, indie guys, making fun or criticizing these guys on TNA or WWE. Here's the bottom line: if you're an indie guy out there and you're criticizing these guys, let it be known, if these guys were working for the independent promotion that you're working for, they will be on top, and you will be open to match, because these guys are there for a reason, every one of them. You could talk about Mark Henry or The Big Show because they're slow or big, they're slow, whatever. Yeah, but they're also larger than life. People see these guys and it's something,
An attraction.
It's an attraction, and everybody there's nobody on either roster that wouldn't be on top of any indie show in this country, maybe with the exception of Ring of Honor and Dragon Gate, because they cater towards a niche audience. But everywhere else, man, would have these guys on top, be pushing them to the moon, and nobody be criticizing them.
Not at all. Like I said, a lot of people know Tony Givens is our guest today, and longtime wrestler, 11-year pro, longtime wrestling promoter. And that leads me to the next question, moving along here quickly. A generic question in these type of interviews, but I've never really heard, you answer this question. Your favorite match as a wrestler and as a promoter? On two different, topics there, I know.
As a wrestler, I've got a lot of different favorite matches, but I would have to go all the way back to 2004 and say that myself and Robbie Cassidy against Chris Richards and Josh Cody with Ricky Steamboat as the guest referee was a great experience. We've had better matches, even with them, even with those two individuals. We and Robbie have had better matches. But just for the emotion and the relevant, having Ricky Steamboat in the ring with us was an awesome feeling. But yeah, I've had some great matches, specifically Robbie Cassidy, both as a partner and as opponent with Chris Richards. I had some great matches with Chase Owens, Josh Cody, Jason Kincaid. Just a lot of guys that I'm proud to say that I've had a great body of work with. But as a promoter, my favorite moment as a promoter was Chase Owens against Davey Richards.
No surprise there. One of the best matches I've ever seen live, and probably one of the best matches I've seen, period. These two guys tore it down, and we knowed it was going to be good from the start, but I don't think anybody realized it was going to be that good.
I don't. Here, the thing that caught me that really shocked me, was that Chase fought back. I knew that Davey would hit him hard because he hits everybody hard. I did not anticipate Chase to have the courage and the fight to get through it like he did. Extremely impressed. I believe that was the day that Chase became a man, and really showed me that he had more fight than even I thought he had. I knew he was good. I knew he was great. But he proved to me that night that he was at a entirely different level. And I've never been so proud of anybody. To be honest with you, I've never been that proud of somebody else for putting out a performance like that.
Definitely was a great performance that night in Kingsport, and would love to see that match again. We'll kind of see it again on the 18th of February in Moorestown, but 6-man tag, so we'll get to see Chase interact with Kazina and O'Reilly, which should be a very good matchup because both of those guys are fairly talented. Kyle O'Reilly's really talented, and he's young in this sport. But looking forward to that match on the 18th of February. Ask you about your favorite match. I'm going to add this in here just to put you on the spot because I just really want to hear you bury somebody really bad. Who's the worst person you ever been in the ring with?
Red Dog Bill. And if you read Bo James's book, Do You Want to Be a Wrestler, Kid, which I would highly suggest because it is a great read, and it's a different kind of wrestling book than you would would find anywhere else, and you can get that at kingofkingsport.com. there's several stories about myself in there. And Chris Richards, I believe, becomes a star. He's one of the stars of the book. When some of the stories that Bo tells, nobody tells a story quite like Bo.
No.
But he tells the story of me going to West Virginia, and my first time ever in West Virginia, ever wrestled in West Virginia. This is 2002, and actually it may be 2001. I don't know. It's somewhere in that range.
Long time ago. It works.
I wrestled a guy named Red Dog Bill, and Red Dog Bill looked like he was in his 40s or so. So I figured, okay, well, this guy right here, he's been around for a while. I'll let him call the match. Well, little did I know that Red Dog Bill had only been wrestling maybe 3 or 4 matches. So I proceeded for about 15-20 minutes to have a match with this guy. And I kept on changing up the finish in the middle of the match. I just wanted to beat him with a roll-up. Because I was always taught, listen, if you've got a dangerous finish, which I did at the time, it was the sliced bread. And it wasn't it's not a dangerous move on me, but giving it to somebody who isn't going to give me that boost to get over or isn't going to take it right, it could just dump me right on my head. And I was worried this guy was going to dump me on my head, so I kept on trying to find different ways to beat him, roll ups and everything. And I'd say, hey, come on, man, let's get out of here. And he kept on kicking out. So finally, he just wouldn't listen. So finally, I did give him the sliced bread. I also, in the middle of the match, gave him a shoot buff blockbuster, which I've never seen anybody do. I was on the top rope, and I was afraid he wouldn't take the crossbody right, so I just shot it on him. But it was absolutely horrible.
Wow, some of the horrible people you'll come across in this industry, and there's more people, I'm sure, like him in here today.
I think he's dead.
Oh wow, that's nothing to laugh about, but
nothing to laugh about. But at least you won't hear me burying him.
Well, you'll get your chance here in a second. If next time you went to a town, you was putting on your gear, and that'd be the last time you'd wrestle, who would you want to be in the ring with?
That would be the hardest choice ever. It would probably come down to Chris Richards, Robbie Cassidy, or Chase Owens.
So, in other words, a 4-way.
No,
four-way
I mean
dance.
I don't know.
It'd be hard to choose, huh?
It would be hard to choose. I just if I really wanted to have this blow-away match, it would be Jason Kincaid because he's the best. Period. Mm-hmm. Best around. Best. Jason Kincaid is the best. I'll say it right here. Is the best unsigned talent in this country right now. He's the biggest secret in wrestling. Jason Kincaid is incredible. However, I have more of an emotional attachment with the other 3 guys, and that's the reason I'd say it would be one of them. But yeah, it would probably be Robbie Cassidy, Chris Richards, or Jason Kincaid, or excuse me, Chase Owens.
Well, as you know, you went on another program similar to this with Stephen Hammer, and you talked. I won't say talked bad because you talk this way to this individual all the time, this way into his face. But you said some things about Brandon Cox, and he answered your comments here on this program by saying, you have your opinion, you're entitled to it. Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has one. Have you changed your stance on Brandon Cox since then? And I know this answer, but I'm asking anyway.
No, I don't think I'll ever change the stance. Brandon is a really good referee.
He's a good guy too.
He's all right. He's a good guy. He really is. I think he's the kind of guy who would do anything for you, help you out, whatever. He's a really good referee. He just doesn't need to be wrestling. He's just not a wrestler. And that's not really a knock on him. He just doesn't need to be a wrestler. He needs to stick with being a referee because he's good at being a referee. And I think that, as hard as this business is, if you are good at something, you should stick with that. And it's not everybody's calling, There's some guys out there that are fantastic managers. But, I mean, do you really want to see Jimmy Hart main event WrestleMania? No, you don't. He's a great manager. You got to know your role, man. I mean, if Jim Cornette would have decided, hey, I want to be a wrestler, I don't know if we'd be talking about Jim Cornette as this legendary figure today.
And you're talking about guys that's made a lot of money in this business.
Exactly. If you're good at something, stick with it. If the wrestling aspect of this business is not for you, don't get in it. It's cool that you tried. I'm not the kind of guy that believes the thing I hate the most is when I say, well, everybody deserves a chance. No, they don't. It's just not like that. In professional wrestling, you do not deserve a chance. You earn a chance. You prove that you're worth something before you get a chance. Now, I may be wrong. I doubt it. Brandon may become a good wrestler. I doubt it. But he has to prove that to me. And I'll be honest with you. I'm sitting right here. 99.9% chance that he doesn't prove it.
Well,
I can look at somebody and tell if they got it or not.
Yeah.
I can. Well, I've been wrong a couple times. GQ.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Finally, somebody buried it may actually hear this. But, yeah, you were definitely wrong about him. He had to look for sure. But Brandon, he said he was going to prove you wrong. So I guess time will tell to see if he does. He played football. I mean, he's been, he's had an athletic.
He can't even walk without dragging his feet.
He's had some athletic
He
experience.
shuffles when he's walking. This guy is not going to be. He's not going to be any good, man. He couldn't even go over the top rope without breaking his leg. Well, damn near breaking his leg. Oh, I cussed.
That's the third time.
Was it really the third time?
I'm keeping track.
I promised I wasn't going to cuss. But I guess I cussed 3 times now.
Yeah,
but
no
Brandon,
big deal.
he just not going to get it. I mean, I'm just telling you flat out right now, and this is an honest opinion. I tell him this: you're just not going to get it. I seen his first match with Lucas Angel. Horrible, just horrible. It ain't Lucas's fault. It ain't Lucas's fault. It surely can't be Lucas's fault. I trained Lucas. I'm just Brandon. Nah.
That's no knock on Lucas, but that's not the first person you want to have your first match with. Somebody that's been in
it's not a
business
knock
year.
on Lucas. You're probably right. You probably don't want to have your first match with somebody who is also,
Green
still in
and
the
been
learning
around,
process.
been around long.
And Lucas is got a ton of potential too. So no knock on him at all. But I would want to have my first match with a veteran, and it would probably been better. I could have had a match with Brandon. I don't know how, but I could have. I would have figured it out.
Well, Bo had a match with Brandon, but it was very short. And
Well, Bo's a veteran. So if he had a match with Brandon, that's not saying anything because Bo's a veteran, been around for a while, and he leads, and the other guy follows. Just like if I would have wrestled Brandon, I lead, he follows.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in life, I lead, Brandon follows.
I can just hear him right now. He's gonna be calling me once he hears this. What's this all about? But Brandon, kudos to him for trying, and
No kudos for trying.
But I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that he'll never get booked as a wrestler because there's too many promotions out there.
Oh, I'm sure one of these have fun, book all the free guys you can promotions would love to have Brandon. He might be a champion.
Well,
Oh, I better not tell him that. He'll quit and become a champion. I could Brandon just call around Newport. Everybody in Newport's bad.
Yeah, John
Just call
City.
all around Newport. John City too, yeah.
That's close. That's just right down the road from where we live. So yeah, that's close for him. But he's a darn good referee, and he's proved that time and time again. But Brandon's had to face a lot of adversity. I will
Let me
give
tell
him
you
that
about
with
Brandon.
his knee and everything.
Brandon Cox, the referee, should pat himself on the back for sticking here, putting up with all of our crap, and learning and trying to be the best referee he can. Brandon Cox, the wrestler, should take a gun and blow himself away.
Two different people, as Tony Gibbons is saying.
Exactly.
But there's Tony's response to Brandon Cox. One more person real quick before I wrap up. There's a gentleman out there that listened to my first episode of this and was very satisfied with it and liked it a whole lot, and I want him to keep listening. I'm not going to discourage him from listening to this program, but after after he hears you, I don't know if he'll ever want to listen again. Bobby McElrath. Give me your comments on that guy.
I'm not gonna bury Bobby, and the reason is because we made an agreement to not talk about our problems, and as a gentleman, which I can be sometimes, I will uphold that agreement, and I don't have anything bad to say about him. I don't have the agreement with Brandon, obviously, but me and Bobby had come to the agreement not to talk about our problems publicly, and I'm gonna uphold that.
Well, here I am, the stirrer of the pot. I learned from Sigmund, but trying to stir the pot here.
Did you learn from Sigmund? Did you learn from Chase Owens, or did Chase Owens learn it from Sigmund?
I've been around both of them too much. Sigmund's a pot stirrer. Chase is a big pot stirrer. Yeah, just
Chris Richards, he's a big pot stirrer.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of those around, but I mean, it adds more fun, to it. And a lot of people lets ribs get to them, aka Austin Cox,
Or Brandon.
or Brandon. His brother being the worst of that. I mean, every little thing. I mean, you could say, his mama's gay and be ribbing with him, and he's like mad. He's pouting over in the corner. But nothing bad to say about Bobby McElrath. I have nothing bad to say about him, but
Did
I
Brandon
do know.
say something bad about him?
Huh?
Did Brandon say something bad about him?
No.
Oh.
No, I called him a goof on the first episode, and I'll define that right now for Bobby listening. Bobby's a smart man, and I've known Bobby for a while. He's a smart man, knows a lot about business. He's got a good job, good corporate job. But I'm not going to say anything further than that. But when it comes to wrestling, my personal opinion, he don't know nothing about this business, and that is where I called him a goof. Not meaning he's an idiot, as in general life speaking, which I think he's made some dumb moves, but he just don't know nothing about the wrestling business. But he wants to. The reason I brought him up, I'll go ahead and say this. He's asked to be a guest on the program down the road, and I granted him that request. But he'll be following Bo James when I get to him in a couple of weeks, and I don't think Bo's going to be the same way you are. I think it's going to be gloves off and a little bit different. Different
Bo
story.
has some there's some personal things that Bobby said about Bo that I'm pretty sure that Bo's going to want to answer. And in that situation, I can't blame Bo for that. But me personally, I've made an agreement with the guy. I said, hey man, let's just drop this whole thing. I'm always going to believe my side of the story. I'm not going to believe I know it. I'm always going to know my side of the story, what happened. He's always going to insist it happened a different way. I said, okay, we're just going to agree to, I believe my side. You are going to hold up your side. So we're just not going to talk about it. And like I said, I'm not elaborating on what's going on because we had an agreement. So I don't have nothing bad to say about the guy.
Well, something interesting to look forward to in the next couple of weeks. I will be getting with Bo James very soon. I'm going to set aside a whole day because I believe when I talk to Bo that I'm going to have enough audio for 2 or 3 weeks because he's always got a story to tell. Anytime you talk to him, he's a walking library of wrestling, and a lot of people have bad things to say about Bo, and I've said bad things about Bo before, but he's one of those guys that he's always interested to talk to. One more thing right quick before we go. I was going to ask you about all that you're not getting booked and how that's took off. And everybody knows how big that is, and we don't have to touch on that. And everybody's heard you on other programs saying how you got started. The WrestleMania deal, not WrestleMania, but WrestleMania, that you was talking about, getting going. Is that still in the plans?
I've got so much stuff, but yeah, I still plan on doing it. I will fairly say that sometime in 2012 it will happen. The big problem, the big impasse is, where am I going to get these guys? Because I have to get these guys to just flat out admit that they're horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I had a plan, and that plan was to tape a somewhat local show that may or may not be the worst wrestling promotion that I've ever seen. and we were going to kind of infiltrate them and commentate it however we wanted. I was going to have it filmed for a documentary purpose. However, they've kind of, I guess they kind once I put a couple of their guys on the site, they kind of figured it out. And of course, I'll just say it. I am talking about the BMW people down in Newport, and they are the absolute worst. They're horrible. I've found a lot of promotions I've been searching for the worst promotion I could find, and little did I know that it was actually right under my nose. Just ungodly bad. Look them up on YouTube. Look up BMW Wrestling. You will agree they are the worst wrestling promotion in the world. I found some bad ones, but I'll fairly say they're the worst. I was gonna try to sneak in there, and I even contacted the promoter and I said, I'm filming a documentary. Yes, I lied. I'm admitting it right here. I was not filming a documentary. I was filming WrestleMania. And Matt Rhodes, you were gonna commentate that.
Oh boy, yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to
So
that.
yeah, and I've also promised you'll be commentating with Cody Isis. And if anybody's never heard Cody Isis on commentary, he literally sounds like a guy from the Monster Truck Rally commercials. You know, Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
Yeah.
That kind of. So.
Yeah, I can't wait because I've kind of bridled my tongue here as of late. A lot of people know I usually don't care what I say, but I've kind of toned that down in somewhat. And some personal reasons behind that, but I'm looking forward to that because for one night only, the bridle's coming off the tongue, and I'm just going to see what's on my mind.
I'm not even sure what I will do at that event. I don't know. I want to be incorporated somehow. Maybe I'll be the Grand Master of Crap, the Crap Master, or maybe I'll be a backstage interviewer. Maybe I'll even be a referee. No, I'm not being in the ring with those guys. But maybe I'll be a guest commentator, or maybe I'll just sit back and watch. But I promise you, when WrestleMania happens, it will be the single worst event in the history of the wrestling business. I'm calling this event. I'm billing as WrestleMania, the event to end all events. And the reason is because it's going to kill the business.
WrestleMania will make High Spot's $5 wrestling look like WrestleMania.
It will. That name WrestleMania. That's copyright. No, it's not. It's a parody name. And if they do send me a lawsuit, it'll be fantastic press, awesome press. I'll be able to get press everywhere, just off the fact that WWE tried to sue me.
It's not WrestleMania with the word wrestle. It's the Southern term
It is WrestleMania.
And for those that live in the South, wrestling's wrestling anyway.
Hey man, you remember WrestleMania 3 where Vince started out the event and said, "Welcome to WrestleMania."
Yeah.
I think maybe I'll do that, and I'll get my own knockoff of Aretha Franklin to come out and sing the national anthem, but of course in typical WrestleMania fashion,
and
she's got to blow it. She's got to not know the words or nothing. I may actually get somebody from the mentally handicapped home to come sing the national anthem because this is WrestleMania, man. You got to pull out all the stops.
Oh man. And we can get some backyard to construct a ring with wheels on it to drive the guys to the ring, like they did in the Pontiac Silverdome.
it will be even better if it broke. You know, one time, speaking of blown entrances, one time we were in Kentucky, and they had the dressing up on this. We had us dressed up on a stage like at Civic Auditorium. So imagine Civic Auditorium, and the steps aren't there, but there is the ring right up against the stage. Well, originally they decided that we were going to put they were going to put the ring up against the stage. That way they could just step off the stage and onto the ring apron because it was lower than Civic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, after they set up, they realized there was a big gap there. And they decided that everybody was going to come down the steps from the sides of the stage. Well, one guy didn't get the memo. So he opens up. He's a big guy doing some kind of crazy man gimmick. He opens up the curtain and goes, "Roar," and growls and everything, and then just drops. Boom. The match lasted like 10 seconds, and he come back there limping. I guess he had to be rushed off to the emergency room.
What a classic.
That was a blown entrance.
That just proves there's Too many idiots.
Hold on,
in this
I got
industry.
another one. There was a guy that used to wrestle down in Morristown back when I first started, and he had this thing on his hand, and it was homemade glove, and
Homemade glove.
okay, homemade glove that shot fire out. So on his entrance, he would shoot fire out of his hand. Here's the problem, though. It wouldn't work. So every time he would come out, and he would get pumped up and do his big entrance, and he'd set the glove off, and all of a sudden he'd go, "Ah!" and start yelling and shaking his hands because he burned his hand every single time.
Wow, that is a story.
I've seen some bad entrances, man.
Oh,
I've
man.
seen some bad man. That's the thing. You're not getting booked. It derives from the fact that I've seen most of these things. Every time I show somebody on there, he reminds me of somebody that I've seen. Sometimes I get guys that just blow my mind that I've never seen, never been around anything like. But a lot of the guys in there, I've seen the prototypes. Every time you go to one of these shows, one of these horrible shows, there's always somebody doing a Patriot gimmick. There's always somebody dressed in camouflage. There's 6 guys that think that they're the redneck biker from hell like the Undertaker. There's a little skinny guy in chaps and jeans, propped up against the locker room wall, smoking a cigarette, like he's James Dean or something. There's prototypes, and you get them everywhere. There's a white guy in a lucha mask that thinks he's Mexican. There's somebody in a masked superstar mask. They're just the prototypes. And here's the big kicker: you will see at least 5 guys come out to AC/DC.
Oh, yeah.
So, I've been there. You've probably been there a few of those too, haven't you? So,
Especially with the AC/DC.
That's
how I got most of my AC/DC
here's the
collection on my computer.
Here's the question: how many guys in the venue that's close to your house that you were talking about earlier? How many guys down there come out to AC/DC?
Well, I would probably say the biggest part of them, but when I was there, I really wasn't paying attention. So, if that
The
tells
question
you about
is,
the
was you
product.
drunk?
No,
You didn't have to get drunk to sit through it?
no, I wasn't drunk.
I couldn't blame you if you was.
6 months ago, I would have been, but no, I wasn't drunk. Definitely. One thing I've seen before I wrap up. One thing I've seen every match that I watched, and it wasn't very many. I've seen either somebody doing a guy from the WWE's taunts, like their signature, like the Randy Orton pose, the Mr. Kennedy Mike gimmick, or their moves was the finish of every match. That's every town in
I've got
America.
this great gimmick. I'm gonna come out, and I'm gonna come out to DX's music, and I'm gonna get on the mic, and I'm gonna say, "I got 2 words for you," and I'm gonna say, "F you." Think it'll get over?
I'm sure. I'm sure it will.
I think it'll get over huge.
Well, it's
And then I'm gonna shake my crotch at everybody.
it's original, isn't it?
Yeah. Because that's what people want to see. They want to see somebody shake their crotch at them and point to their crotch, say "suck it" and whatever. Once it's been done once, it can't. Here's the thing: a lot of these guys actually believe that they are going to make it to WWE. Here's the problem: if they've
Delusional.
already had Jeff Hardy, why do they want a Jeff Hardy ripoff? If they've already had The Rock, why do they want a flawless Rock ripoff? They don't want anybody that does a ripoff of somebody else. They want somebody who's original. Because if they wanted another Stone Cold, they wouldn't need it because they've already had one.
Yeah. You can't duplicating a character is not going to draw you money. So that's just like if we come out with another Tony Givens, another Dragon.
The first one didn't draw any money, man. I'm not sure the second one would.
So once about 5 years after you're gone from a wrestling scene, we'll have another Tony Givens. We'll have somebody wearing a G1 shirt.
Well, I wish you. You
with
know,
a dragon
one time,
tattooed
this is
on
the
his
truth.
chest.
This is the truth. We went to a show, same promotion in Kentucky. We went to. We used to wrestle there like 3 times a month. The first show of the month, I sold a G1 shirt to one of the boys in the back. The next show, he put on his gear. He put on the G1 shirt, and he was getting ready to wear it to the ring. And Bobby Eaton went up to him and said, "You can't do that. That's these boys' gimmick." This guy actually bought a shirt off of my table and was going to wear it to the ring the next week. On a show that we were actually at. On a show that we were on, doing the G1 thing. because we actually did that gimmick a lot of places. It wasn't just something that we did here. We did it in Kentucky. We did it in North Carolina. A lot of places. So it wasn't just a localized thing.
Well, there's too many people in the business, but there's not enough creative people in the business. Everybody's wanting to copy everybody. So, in other words, that's going to lead to, nothing. Diddly squat. But, well, we're at 45 minutes. I guess that's a good time to wrap up on this interview. Thanks for joining us, Tony Gibbons. And hopefully the next time you join us will be in,
the other room?
Some more high equipment. Yeah,
Oh.
we're filming. Well, we're filming. We just wrapped up filming television, and we're sitting here in the same studio filming this. And, recording this, I should say. And we'll hopefully be moving over in the podcast room very soon with some help from Weston Leonard down at Elixir Media. So we got to work on a big deal there, and and hopefully with some sponsorships. If you're interested in sponsored, hit the email up you see on the screen. So always welcome sponsors, and trust me, we'll plug you like crazy. So if you're interested in that or sponsoring a TV show, NWA Smoky Mountain
here's
TV.
the thing. If you're interested in sponsored, we might be able to put together a package, myself and Matt here.
Oh, yeah.
A little package deal for you. So, but also, I like to say this, and we never plug this enough, but if you need anything as far as websites, video work, or pretty much anything involving media, make sure that you look up Elixir Media Group in Kingsport. Everybody always comments on how great our television show looks and things, and that's all due to the fact of the help from these guys down here at Elixir Media in Kingsport, down here in downtown Kingsport. They have a nice studio here that we film a television show in, and they come out and film our events. So look them up, Elixir Media Group. You can just
I think it's elixirmediagroup.com.
I think it is too, yeah.
I don't know the office number off the top of my head, although it's probably got information over in the next room. But yeah, definitely a great group of people to work with down here. It's right around the corner from WKPT. So if you know anything about Kingsport, where Channel 19 is, it's just right around the corner from there, right on Center Street in Kingsport. So you can't beat these guys down here. And I was talking to Wes, the president here at the studio, and showed us some new equipment that's coming in. New high-definition cameras, true high-definition cameras. I mean, I'm talking about the same cameras that you watch Channel 11 news in high definition is coming here, and will soon be on our television program. So that's exciting.
We're gonna have to get Brandon Cox off TV.
Man, the Ruffalos will come then.
The Ruffalos. Okay, let me tell you right now. We call Brandon Cox the Ruffalo Hunter. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to reveal what a Ruffalo is. And the first time I ever heard this term, I believe, was from my friends in the Gifterage.
Yeah, Bubba
Kyle and Derek Billings and Jason the Gift Kincaid.
Bubba takes credit for it.
Bubba, I will give Bubba credit for it because I believe that Bubba, he coined the term Ruffalo. And what a Ruffalo is a rat as big as a buffalo. And Brandon Cox is the Ruffalo Hunter. If you don't believe me, just check the comments back to his status messages on Facebook. Nothing but Ruffalos.
Oh my God!
They all need love too.
Shoo! There may be some mad women out there tonight. Whenever they hear this. Oh man!
You can hear it all you want to, you bunch of Ruffalos.
Well, that's all the time we have for Tony Givens. We'll be back with a wrap-up here in a minute.
Looking for the hottest wrestling on the net? NWA Smoky Mountain is here for you. Get all the latest info on upcoming events, news, NWA merchandise, and much more on our website at NWASmokyMountain.com. Also, check us out on Facebook at Facebook.com/NWA Smoky Mountain. And also follow us on Twitter at Twitter.com/NWA Smoky MT.
makes me want to go steal a DeLorean and drive back to 1955. Back then, wrestling was a lot different than it is today. But Tony Gibbons, there you have it, discussing, the state of pro wrestling. In his words, on a life support, if you will, not quite dead, but in a vegetative state, maybe. But some interesting comments from Tony the Dragon Gibbons. I want to say thanks once again to Tony Gibbons, sitting here, for being on. And as we noted right before the break, we may be, changing things around here on the program. Actually, we're sitting here in the television studio as we speak. There's another studio here to my left where I sit that is just built specifically for audio programs like this, and we have been given the green light to move over into that studio. Wrestling Roundup, this may be the last episode entitled Wrestling Roundup. We have looked in and have purchased a domain for worldwrestlingrecap.com to own the website, and looks that the name of the program will be changing to World Wrestling Recap within the next couple of weeks. But everything's going to stay the same. We're still going to be talking about pro wrestling from the Mountain Empire, but we're also going to venture out, we're going to talk pro wrestling, across the country, worldwide, new WWE, Mexico, Japan. We're going to kind of venture out there a little bit more, and when we talk to our guests, and kind of go further than the Mountain Empire, which the wrestling scene right now in the Mountain Empire is looking very good. We've had some great events lately, and fans, don't miss the 27th, Friday night, January 27th, the Armory in Mount Carmel for Southern States Wrestling. The 28th, the very next night, Hickory Tree Volunteer Fire Department, Southern States Wrestling. Also, this coming weekend, if you're listening in the week I've posted this, January 21st, we're going to see Pro Wrestling Federation down to Elizabeth and VFW. Huge lineup down there featuring Bo and Misty James, Josh Crawford, all the talented stars of the PWF will be in attendance. And Stars of Wrestling in Bristol. Let's not forget them out. Mikey Duggar's event up there this weekend at the National Guard Armory. Looks to be a very good lineup there. Six-man tag headlines the main event. Some former stars from NWA Smoky Mountain in that match, including Cutthroat Josh Cody, who I got to see last time Stars of Wrestling was in Bristol, and that guy still got it as a pro wrestler. A lot of people have bad things to say about Josh Cody, but he's still going ring, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he accomplishes in 2012 as far as wrestling wise. That's a little plug out there for Josh Cody. But once again, we thank you for joining us, and we thank you for listening and making this program a success. We had great feedback from the first episode, and we're going to hopefully have some very big guests in the coming weeks, including King of Kings Sport, handsome Bo James, and like I told Tony Gibbons a few minutes ago, followed up by former NWA color commentator and ring announcer Bobby McElraft. He'll have a chance to follow Bo James, and that's hard to do. Following Bo James is very hard to do. He's going to have a chance to defend himself, and looking forward to that. So fans, tune in and be sure to be looking out for Wrestling Roundup and also World Wrestling Recap. Like I said, we've purchased the name of the domain site, Elixir Media. We'll be hopefully getting the website up soon. And World Wrestling Recap, I like the sound of that. It sounds big time. And I appreciate all the support from friends, all the kind words from my friends in the business saying they enjoyed the program. Fans as well have great feedback from the fans. Email me at nwamroads@gmail.com for the time being. We'll have probably a new email in the next couple of weeks. But email me at nwamroads@gmail.com. And if you have any comments, questions, suggestions for the program, I'll get back with you, as quick as I can. Love hearing from the fans. Love anybody out there, that has comments, whether you're a wrestler, referee, ring announcer. I want to hear it. So send it to me once again, nwamroads@gmail.com. Remember all the great wrestling coming up in the next couple of weeks in the Mountain Empire. Do not miss it. Thanks for listening to the Wrestling Roundup. Once again, thanks to my main man, Tony the Dragon Gibbons, for joining us today. We'll see you back here, same time, same place, next week for the Wrestling Roundup. I'm Matt Rhodes. So long for now.